Again, sorry, we're rearranging a couple wires here. My name is Steve Matthews. I'm the Director of Housing and Residence Life at Housing Plattsburgh. And let us know if you can hear us well now. And we're going to be going through a presentation talking a little bit about the housing and residence life options at SUNY Plattsburgh. And also with me today is
Tricia Pellerin, and I'm the Assistant Director of Housing.
Great. We will go ahead and take your questions as you submit them. We may or may not answer them as we're going through the presentation, but at the end we'll get to as many as we can. And also at the end of the presentation, we're going to have a screen up with our contact information, both for Tricia and I personally, as well as a general email address for the housing office. So if there's a question that you folks have that you'd rather not post to everyone to see, you'll be able to do that and get a personal response from either one of us. So first off, congratulations on your acceptance to SUNY Plattsburgh. We, both Tricia and I are graduates of Plattsburgh and think that you're considering a fine institution, and we're happy that you're with us tonight. I'm not going to go through in detail the mission of our office. I want you to actually stay with us online, so I'm going to make sure that I don't bore you too much with that detail. But this gives you a sense of the mission of what our office does. And in essence, what that means is we are here to support the learning living environment that happens in the residence halls, and you folks as students are the center of that, and we try to make our decisions and make our programs around that student-centered approach. And as we talk a little bit about the residence halls at SUNY Plattsburgh, you need to know we have 12 residence halls. Each year we're taking one of those residence halls offline for a complete renovation. So we are actually operating right now with 11 residence halls while Moffett Hall is being renovated. Give you some ideas about the things that are happening in the residence halls that have to do with safety and security. You see we have all sorts of security cameras, a 24-hour ID controlled access to each building. That means that your ID card is what allows you to enter the residence hall. And if you don't live on campus, you don't have access to the residence halls through your ID. Each room is individually controlled by a combination lock, so there's no key that you need to worry about. And like most campuses, each evening in the residence halls, we have an RA on duty. That's a student that works for us in our office, who in essence is there to support students throughout the evening hours. I'm sure if you've done your research on Plattsburgh, you understand that we have 24-hour-a-day police protection on campus, our own police force right here on campus. And certainly all of our residence halls meet or exceed fire codes of New York State. And we've taken the care to make sure that every residence hall floor has an emergency hardwired phone, and that rings directly into that police department. This gives you an idea of some of the amenities that we offer within the residence halls. And again, not reading through all of them, but you see that we've got most of the things covered that I would anticipate a student would want, from cable TV to Wi-Fi, good coverage of Wi-Fi. All of our students who live on campus have free access to HBO Go and Cinemax Go, whether they are here at Plattsburgh or even at home. Once you're living on campus for that year, you have access at home. We actually also have our own video channel called the Cardinal Video Den, and that has streaming videos that are actually ahead of Netflix. In other words, movies that are not currently running right now but are in the first set. You might be able to find them on DVD, but they're not running on any other streaming services yet. The way laundry works at SUNY Plattsburgh, students will pay a $40 fee each semester, and that gives you unlimited access to our laundry facilities in each residence hall. So no having to worry about swiping an ID card or a big pile of quarters. Our laundry facilities are managed by a corporation called McRae, and what that means for you is that those machines are modern, they're well kept. They actually will send you a text message if you choose to tell you laundry is done. They will also tell McRae, the company, if they're not functioning correctly. They'll actually send an email to the repair person, and it doesn't even have to involve us here on campus. The other cool thing that laundry service provides is a service called Laundry View, which allows you from your residence hall room or even from the app on your phone, you can actually physically look at the laundry rooms. It's kind of a cartoon image, but you can see which machines are in use, which ones are open and available for use. The machines that are in use, you can tell how much time is left on those machines. So it saves you from having to go up and down to the laundry rooms, not knowing if you have a machine available to you. In our residence halls, we have fully trained, supportive residence hall team members. Those folks are there to support you as you go through your experiences in the residence halls, and they plan programs and activities for you in the residence halls. And all of our buildings have kitchenettes. We know that students in particularly now really are experimenting with cooking, and we try and support that as best we can in our residence halls. I'm actually going to answer a couple of these questions quickly that I've seen roll in, and then I'm going to turn things over to Tricia. Let's see here, Elizabeth. While living on campus, are students required to stay on a meal plan? Yes, they are. There are different options available for meal plans, and I think Tricia probably can answer specifically more about those. But you do have to have a meal plan, and there are different plans available based upon where you are in your college career, what's available to you. Caitlin, those blue light phones, that's actually something that we have those around the campus outside of the residence halls, but in essence, that phone on each floor in a residence hall operates exactly the same way. It's a great big yellow phone. It's got a red button, looks like a big piece of candy. As soon as you push that button, it rings right into the police department. And if you were not to answer them, they would dispatch somebody right to the floor to see what's going on. Yes, there are different facilities in each dorm, Chase, and actually we'll talk a little bit about that when Tricia's talking, and we've got some pictures. If you folks want to see some pictures, we can show you some of the different things. Let's see here. What residence hall is being renovated in the 16-17 year? That is going to be Wilson Hall. That's actually one of our first-year buildings, and so you folks, as first-year students, wouldn't have access to Wilson Hall, one of those first-year buildings. We are going to be using Whiteface Hall, which is our other first-year building, and actually Moffett Hall, which is the building we're renovating right now, will be a first-year building starting in the fall. Is the Wi-Fi in the rooms for only public areas? No, it's throughout the residence halls, all areas of the residence halls. And actually, when you're here on campus, there's not many places, even when you're walking around on the grounds of campus, that are not covered by Wi-Fi. We actually have excellent coverage for our Wi-Fi here on campus. I heard the students' honors program live close to each other. I'll let Tricia respond to that. And actually, I'll turn things over to her at this point, and if she wants to go ahead and answer that, or if she wants to go ahead with the presentation, I'll leave that up to her.
All right, to answer a few questions here about the honors program. So we don't have theme type communities here on campus as far as honors programs and things like that. However, students can request to live with another student who may also be part of the honors program, or perhaps maybe even the part of, the same major or something that you're interested in. Sometimes that can be athletics as well. And that's something you can contact us about if there's someone in particular you're hoping to live with. I know there was a question earlier about the meal plan, so I thought I would just circle back to that. So all of our first-year students are required to have one certain meal plan. You actually can't deviate from that, and that is an anytime dining plan, which if you look off of the housing webpage, there is a website for our dining program, which actually is separate from our housing office. Although when you do sign up for housing, you will select your meal plan at the same time you fill out your housing application. But on their website, it'll explain a little bit more about the meal plans and which areas on campus that you can eat. All right, so now I'm going to get into going over about the different styles of housing. Okay, so we have a couple different building styles on campus. One of them is a corridor-style high-rise building. Typically, these buildings have 9 floors with a basement. There's approximately 18 rooms that are on the floor, on the outside of the building, and in the middle of the hallway area is where the elevators are and the restrooms. Each floor has a main lounge area and a study area. And on the first floor, the lounges have, you know, more of like a rec space. There's kitchens, vending, all of that is on usually the first floor. These types of buildings, the building names are Banks Hall, Whiteface, and Wilson. And as you can see, Wilson is going to be the one that's renovated this coming year. The next style is a suite style high-rise building. So these are 9 or 10 floors with a basement level. There's about 14 to 16 rooms per floor. So how it kind of works is 6 to 8 students share sort of a little suite area. And what I mean by that is there's a little suite lounge within the area and a small bathroom that the 6 to 8 students will share within that area. Each floor has a larger lounge with a kitchenette on it. And same thing as the other high-rise building, the first floor and basement house common spaces and vending. There's elevators on each floor, and all of our suite-style buildings have now been renovated. So Hood, DeFriedenberg, and then Moffett. Okay. The next style we have are low-rise corridor buildings. Most of them are shaped like an L. There's about 13 to 18 rooms on each wing of the building. Each wing has a common restroom that the students on that floor will share. There's renovated buildings that have lounges with kitchenettes on each floor and elevators that service each floor. There's a larger common lounge on the first floor and or basement that has kind of a recreation area and a kitchenette space as well as the vending. As you can see, Harrington Hall, Mason Hall, and McDonough Hall have been renovated. Kent and Macomb have not been yet, but very soon, which is very exciting for us. McDonough and Harrington are for upper class students, so sophomores, juniors, seniors. Kent, Macomb, and Mason house all class levels, so it can be freshmen through seniors living in those buildings. And I just saw a question come in about, can we see pictures of buildings? We're going to show a few pictures of them after we go through the slides. Okay, so some unique areas that we have within the residence halls. In Mason Hall, we have a centralized student mailroom. So students can access this mailroom 24 hours a day. You have access to your mailbox. The other really neat function of the mail center that we have is this system. It's like a locker system. So if you get a package and you can't pick it up during the day, you actually could come anytime in the evening or early morning hours to pick up your package. And what you would do is you'd swipe into the mail center, you'd bring your ID card, you'd swipe it up to the machine, you put in a little pin and a little box opens, and you'll be able to pull your package out. So that allows our students to be able to go even outside of the hours that our mail center is open. In Hood Hall, that's where we have a satellite fitness center location. Students who live on campus and have purchased the fitness center membership can use that area. DeFriedenberg has 4 sound-restricted music practice rooms, so anyone who's interested in practicing some of their music outside of using the Meyer Center can do that right in the basement area of the residence hall. Okay, Moffett Hall, which is going to be opening this fall, is going to have the interfaith prayer room, and all students can use that. They just can access it with their student ID card. Harrington Hall has a deck off the back lower lounge area. Macomb, Kent, and Mason are pretty close to the Saranac River Walk, which kind of goes back through campus and through the city of Plattsburgh. Banks Hall has upper class student apartments on the upper 2 floors, and Adirondack Hall houses our senior living section. Okay, some other neat functions that we have within our buildings are gender inclusive housing, first year housing. We have kind of standard housing. We have double rooms, single rooms, and triple rooms. And to kind of go through this a little bit further and break this down a little bit more for you, I'm going to explain a little bit of what gender inclusive housing means. So this is a special program that we created about 2 years ago. The primary purpose for this program is to provide support for students who need or request accommodations due to gender identity or expression. And that's because we recognize that our students may not be comfortable living in a single gender housing option, so they may sign up to live in that area, and what we request students to do is to contact our office if they're interested in living in that area, and we will help them sign up for it. And if students have more questions about that, you can certainly feel free to reach out to us. Okay. Sorry, I'm just looking over some of the questions here. I keep seeing them rolling, and we will get to them, so just hang in there. So in our first year housing program, those are housed, as Steve was mentioning before, in Whiteface Hall, and this year coming up will be in Moffett Hall. So those are 2 first-year buildings. They house all first-year students. However, we can only fit about half of our incoming freshman class in those 2 buildings. So what we do is we end up placing, you know, as many students as we can in those buildings who request to live in there. It's done on a first-come, first-served basis. And those that we can't fit in there do get spread throughout the other buildings on campus. And then as far as our standard housing, our typical housing situation is double rooms. We do have to, at times, triple students, and those tend to be our first-year students. We can pretty much guarantee, though, that the first 750 students who apply will be guaranteed a double room. So that's why we do encourage students to get those applications in early.
By applying, you mean what? Apply to the college?
By applying. Good question.
Apply for housing.
Yeah, so apply for housing. So what I mean by that is you got to make sure that you've paid your admissions deposit and that you've gone online and filled out the housing application. So the first 750 students who fill out the housing application are guaranteed to be living in a double room. If we do need to triple students, we are usually able to break those triples down within the first few weeks of the semester. All right. And then the next thing I'm going to go over is the housing application and the selection process. Okay, so step 1, make sure that you pay your housing or your admissions deposit. The $250 that you pay for that admissions deposit does include your housing deposit as well. So no need to worry about that. As long as you pay your admissions deposit, that's including the housing deposit. So make sure you do that first. The second thing that you're going to have to do is you'll see the admissions checklist, and I've added a little snapshot here so you can see what that looks like. You're going to click on the complete housing application and waiver list. What that's going to do is that's going to direct you right to the home page of the housing module, where you'll be able to fill out the housing application, and eventually you'll be able to see your roommate information, things like that listed on there. In our next session that we will be doing in about a month from today, we're actually going to go through in more detail what that application actually looks like. And now we'll start going over some questions. I'm just going to scan up here. Bear with us a second here.
Yeah, and the information you folks see as far as that contact information, they said those are our personal emails. That housing@plattsburgh.edu will go to Tricia and Nikki, our secretary in our office. And that phone number is the office phone number for our main office, and you can ask for either one of us by contacting us at that number.
Okay, just want to make sure we don't miss anything here.
Yeah, I saw a couple of questions about the $40. It is per semester. Yep. And
okay.
We have a representative from the admissions office. You have a question about can they access the PowerPoint again after this? I believe there's a way to do that, and Troy, do I need to know how to do that right now?
Not right now, but we'll send it to everyone that attends.
It's going to be, actually the PowerPoint will be sent to everyone who's in attendance on the chat today, so you'll get it and have a copy of it.
Okay, so the next question was, do the kitchens have ovens and cookware in them? So the kitchens have been in most of the buildings, at least the newly renovated ones, have all new stainless, well not stainless steel, but they all have flat top oven ranges in them. So you've got an oven and a microwave and a small refrigerator that you can use while using the kitchenette. As far as cookware, we do recommend that students bring some of their own cookware and dishes with them. However, the hall councils within the building that you live in do usually purchase some cookware that you can use, you know, if you're looking to cook some food. But it might be good to have a few of those items on your own as well.
Yeah, and just for folks who are questioning what a hall council is, that is, every residence hall has a little government with a president and a vice president and that kind of thing. And there's a small budget that those folks get to work with to provide some amenities to the building, things like pots and pans, or maybe, you know, put on some programming, have some floor dinners, those kind of things. So if you're interested in that, it's a great way to get involved as well on campus. Are RAs trained in CPR? Yes, they are.
Okay, someone asked a question about substance-free housing and what that means. So most of our housing is considered substance-free, especially our first-year buildings. However, the one that we designate as a substance-free building is Adirondack Hall. Every part of that building except for the senior and grad area is considered substance-free. And what we mean by substance-free is that the students who sign up to live in that area choose to be free of substances as far as like alcohol and smoking and things like that. And they just choose to leave that kind of clean lifestyle.
That does not mean that particularly drugs and whatnot are allowed in other residence halls. It means that they're not even going to bring the negative impacts of that. We do allow students who are of age to consume alcohol privately in their own rooms, but even the folks living in that special substance-free area have decided that they don't want that in their lifestyle. I'm just reading the question. Do the residence halls have a fire drill when the semester starts? We actually, by New York State Fire Code, must conduct 2 fire drills per semester in each residence hall. Those are randomly done by university police. And yeah, there's usually at least one in the beginning of each semester. But yeah, we make sure that that happens.
Okay, someone asked a question, are the rooms separated by gender? So yes, they are, unless someone has signed up for the gender inclusive program, in which 2 students who may identify of 2 different genders could choose to live together, or they could be identifying of the same gender and choose to live together within that area, and that's fine. All other areas on campus are separated by gender. It depends on the building that you live in. It could either be by floor, so like the low-rise buildings I was talking about. One wing of the building could be a floor of female students, and the other wing could be male students. In some of our high-rise buildings, each room, like there could be a room with 2 male students in it, and the next room next door could be 2 females. Again, there's going to be separate bathroom areas on those floors.
Questions about roommates?
Yeah.
How do you find those? It looks like.
Okay, so someone asked, how are the roommates grouped? So once if you've decided to come here, you've paid your deposit, you filled out your housing application. On our housing application, or on our housing module, you can actually search for a roommate on there. If you have someone in mind, you could actually look for them, and you could send them a request saying that you would like to live with them and they need to accept your request. If you don't have someone in mind, you can actually search for somebody. Maybe you're looking for someone who has the same major as you, or has maybe answered some of the same questions on the housing application. For example, if you're someone who typically stays up late at night, maybe you want to make sure you live with someone else that stays up late at night, and you can make sure that you get matched up with someone that way. If you choose not to to look for someone, that's okay. What we do in the housing office is we will match you up with someone who filled out the housing application very similar to yourself, and we will do the assignments that way. Typically, a lot of our students, if they haven't met someone that they know that they want to live with, if they attend the summer orientation program, oftentimes you may meet someone there at the program that you're interested in living with, and that's why we don't do the assignments until after summer orientation is completed.
Is a transfer student still considered first year, Tricia?
As a transfer student, you're not considered a first year student, but you are considered to us as a new student because you're newly attending here. So even if you are a freshman, maybe it's your, for example, you're coming in the spring semester and you're still considered a first year, you are credit-wise looking like a first year student, but as far as we're concerned, you look like a new student. So I guess that would depend a little bit on where we may have you housed. But yes, if someone was like an upper class, transfer student, you wouldn't be placed in a first year building.
A couple interesting questions about food. How much food is served in meal plans? First year students typically, well, they're getting the all-you-can-eat options in the 2 all-you-can-eat dining facilities, and that means from, I believe it is 6 a.m. until 8 p.m. you can go into those facilities and eat as much as you want, as often as you want, every day. And then you also have a late-night option out at the College Center on that meal plan, which allows you to have snacks. So you, in essence, could go into, say, Algonquin or Clinton Dining Hall, I'm sorry, at any point just to get a cup of coffee. And it doesn't cost you anything. You just swipe your card. You can go in as often as you want to. And there's also some retail operations in the College Center. There's an Einstein's Bagels in Hawkins Hall. There's a little bit of what's called dining dollars on your meal plan that allow you to use those retail facilities as well.
So someone asked a question, as a freshman, do students have a choice as to the type of residence hall they live in, or is it automatically assigned? So when you do fill out your housing application, you actually get to pick your top 5 building choices. And we really do our best to try to make sure that we are able to accommodate one of those choices that you've selected. And that's why it's best to get your application in as early as you can, so that way we can try to accommodate the request that you're choosing. If someone were to submit an application really late, as far as like maybe it's really close to the start of the semester, we can't really guarantee where the assignment is going to be placed.
It's a question about cost of residence halls. We actually, we have a standard double room rate. There's a standard triple room rate, a standard single room rate. What happens is we actually will give you a discount if you live in a building that we haven't renovated yet. So I guess in some way, yes, some buildings are more expensive than others, but actually what we're doing is we're giving you a discount for living in a building we have not renovated, acknowledging that we haven't renovated that building yet.
All right, someone asked, is Whiteface or Moffett closer to the fitness center in Hood? I have to admit they're both pretty close. Most of our buildings on campus are pretty close together, but if I was taking a measuring tape out, I think maybe I would say Whiteface is closer, but they're very, very, very close. It's not too far away at all.
I would say 5 or 10 feet difference. It's not a big difference.
Yeah.
What makes Plattsburgh so distinctive, and what's the best thing to do on campus? That's an awesome question. I think Plattsburgh is distinctive, and I went to school here with no intentions of, I thought I'd graduate and move on, and now I've lived here since 1987. That's how old I am. It's been a great place to be professionally and a great place to raise a family. It's a friendly campus, and I know that sounds kind of cliche, but I like the fact that I can walk across campus and I recognize the students. They recognize me. We say hi to each other. We know each other by name. That's the kind of place I want to be part of, where the students know that I have a vested interest in their success and that those students are part of the team that we work with here. And that's what I think makes us very distinctive from my perspective.
Yeah, I'm right there with Steve. I didn't expect I'd still be here, but I'm a two-time graduate of Plattsburgh as well. Went here for my undergraduate work and my graduate work. Left for a little bit, and I'm back here, and Plattsburgh is home. One thing I really appreciate about being here, and Steve kind of mentioned it, but it's the people that work here. You're gonna find that sense of community and that passion from the faculty and from the staff. There's a lot of people who were like us, you know, they were students and now they're here working here, and they love Plattsburgh, and you're really going to get that sense of family and that sense of home here.
And I think that extends into the classroom as well. I teach in the graduate program, and we have a student affairs program here. So I can speak for the faculty, you know, for the most part, feel the same way. They know our students personally. They have a vested interest in their success. And it's a personal touch. It's a feeling like, you know, when I wake up today, there are people on this campus who care what I'm doing and care that I'm learning and moving forward in my life. And that's a comforting feeling to me.
Absolutely. Okay. Someone asked the question, does the fitness center have a pool? It does have a pool.
Well, actually, the fitness center doesn't have a pool.
The building does.
We have a pool in Memorial Hall. You do not need to be a member of the fitness center to use that pool. Any student can use it. You heard there's a team in Plattsburgh that's not part of the school. We don't have a swim team any longer. That ceased to exist back in the 80s. I don't know if there's a team. There was a question up above that, too, about Whiteface and Moffett. Whiteface and Moffett are the same style dorm. Am I correct? No. Whiteface is a corridor style building. Those are those rooms around the outside in the core of the elevator. Moffett Hall is a suite building. The difference is, instead of a little suite lounge in the cluster of rooms, that room is actually going to be a single. And we have, in place of that little suite lounge, we have two larger lounges on each floor, one with a kitchenette, one is more of a study area. But those little clusters of rooms, 3 double rooms and a single, will all share a smaller common bathroom as opposed to a bathroom for men and the women on the floor.
Okay, so there was a question here asking if there are many students who live on campus all 4 years, even when they don't have to. And the answer is yes. We actually do have a lot of upper class students who choose to remain on campus through their junior, seniors, and sometimes when they're here for grad school as well. Although we have a 4-semester live-on requirement, many of our students do choose to stay. And we do have areas where some of those students can choose to live in, which in Adirondack we do have a senior and grad student area where students can buy out a double room as a single if they'd like. However, many of our students do choose to live with a roommate throughout any of our residence halls on campus. So yeah.
Do residence halls have ping pong tables? Yes. Ping pong. We have some foosball tables, we have pool tables. We actually have our student association just sponsored a billiards club, and they meet weekly in one of our residence halls, and they have billiards tournaments and ping pong tournaments. So there's a fairly large group of students that are interested in those activities, and we do those right in the residence halls.
Okay, so are mini refrigerators and microwaves allowed in the dorm rooms? We do allow mini refrigerators, typically 1 per room, so that's something you'll have to communicate with your roommate who is going to bring the refrigerator. We do not allow microwaves within the residence hall room, but we do have microwaves available in the kitchenette areas within the buildings. As far as like restrictions on sizes and things like that, we do have those posted on our website. I don't have that measurement off the top of my head, but most refrigerators that you buy at the store meet our requirements.
I believe it's 3 0.1 cubic
Yeah.
feet or smaller. And then there's a question about, I'll let you answer this one and I'll take, can you bring appliances like toasters, waffle makers, those kind of things? The answer is no. You can't have, well, let me rephrase that. You can have a toaster, but you cannot be using it in your room. That's a violation of New York State Fire Code to be using it in your room. So any device that has a heating element like that, you can bring it and you'd have to use it in the kitchenette. The only appliance, quote unquote, that you can use within your residence hall is something like a Keurig, where that heating element is contained in a pool of water, if you will. So that is allowed. Yeah.
Okay. Someone asked the question about where do transfer students typically stay in. Typically, our transfer students, well, they can live anywhere on campus except for in our first-year residence halls. Some choose to live in or request Harrington and McDonough because those tend to be for upper-class students, but transfer students can live throughout our other buildings as well.
And we're getting a lot of questions about pictures of the residence hall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to minimize this PowerPoint and I'll pull up some pictures, and we'll try and keep answering questions as we go along. And we can always bring those, our email and items back up.
As Steve's putting that up, I did see someone ask a question about the housing application and when that becomes available. It's actually available now. It was active for students on February 2nd to start applying. So if you know that you're definitely going to be coming here in the fall, make sure you pay that admissions deposit, and then after you've done that, about 24 hours later, you'll be able to have access to that housing application. And
I'm going to start out with Whiteface Hall. That's one of our first-year buildings. This is just a picture of one of the lounges with people. Looks like they're trying to act like the animals in the lounge. This is an exterior picture of Whiteface Hall. Let's see here. This is a room within Whiteface Hall. You see the bed, and these are college supplied furnishings that you're seeing in the residence halls here. You can see there's the foosball table that's in Whiteface Hall. That's down in the main lounge. A couple other pictures that you see. And somebody studying hard in the residence hall. I'm not going to pull up any pictures of Wilson Hall because it's going to look a lot different. Moffett Hall, the only pictures I have from Moffett are pre-renovation. But you can see the person who's interested in ping pong, you'll see the pool tables. You'll see here vending machines. All of our residence halls have vending machines in them as well. There's a declining balance cash account called Cardinal Cash that you can also set up here on campus, and all those machines take that Cardinal Cash as well, so you don't really even need cash for that. Mason Hall, this is the building we just finished renovating, and this is kind of the main entrance lobby. This is one of those smaller shaped L-style residence halls. This is our mail center. There's Elisa. She's one of our employees down in the mail center. But you can see every student on campus has their own mailbox. That will be your mailbox until the day you leave campus housing. And this picture here you can see over in the corner. In the far right, that is that package delivery system that Tricia was talking about. Those are the lockers where your packages can be accessed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with your ID card. This is one of the lounges up on, this is on the second floor. You can see the kitchenette in the background with the furniture in the foreground. And this is that lounge from the other perspective. And let's see if I can pull up. This is a picture of the main lounge, which you can't see. You can see there's some tables and chairs on the right-hand side. There's a larger kitchenette down in this area as well. Without going through every residence hall, I'm going to move on to, we'll pick the Friedenberg Hall. That is a suite-style building. This has been renovated as well, and I'll also show you a picture of the fitness center. This is one of the music practice rooms that Tricia talked about, so we have storage lockers for students to store their instruments in. This is the first floor entryway of the Friedenberg Hall. Ignore the poster in the background. That's what a suite lounge would look like, and you can see there are rooms coming off of that. And the bathroom is actually is behind that wall where you see that Bud Light poster there. And this is actually the basement of the building, so you get a sense that even the basement looks pretty nice. And let me show you Hood Hall. We had some questions about the fitness center. Again, Hood Hall was also renovated. Here's the room in Hood Hall. This is housing 2 students. They each have their own wardrobes. And you can see directly across from the open door, that is the entrance into the restroom for those students. Main lounge, our perspective is off here a little bit on this computer, but that's the main lounge of Hood Hall. And here's a picture of that fitness center facility. As well, you see there's free weights, there are elliptical machines, there's probably, I think there are 3 or 4 treadmills in here as well as some weight machines, and there's also a trainer in there when the center's open. And here's the other perspective looking back at that desk in Hood Hall. Here's what a kitchenette looks like in Hood Hall. You see the microwave, the refrigerator, the stove, all sorts of cabinets, that kind of thing. So very typical what you'd expect to see in a kitchenette. I think at this point that, unless there's specific questions about a particular building, and you certainly can go ahead and ask that, we'll go back to the questions. Let's see here. Are bathrooms co-ed? Only in those gender neutral or gender inclusive housing options. We talked about choosing the residence halls. Do all the freshmen stay in Whitefish or Wilson? I think Tricia addressed that. Only about half of them do. How does someone become an RA? They make good choices their freshman year. They apply. We're actually hiring RAs right now for next year. We typically look for between 30 and 50 each year, depending on graduation. But if you're interested in becoming an RA, I would say the first week you're here on campus, come in and see us in the Housing and Res Life office and start the conversation. Then you'll be in the know. But it's very obvious, the application process, and we make sure everybody is able to apply who wants to be an RA. We talked about the housing applications. How many people have already registered for housing?
That's a good question. It's still pretty early in our process, so if you were to apply now, you'd be very early. We do have students that continue to apply all the way up until the start of the semester in August, so you've still got plenty of time to be applying.
Expensive gym and parking fees. I think the gym membership is $75, $80, something like that a semester. I honestly don't know. It's on our website. I don't know if you know that information, Troy. Our admissions person is going to look that up. They're asking about the gym and the parking fees. And while he's looking that up, Tricia, there's a question about transfer students. Are they paired with other transfer students, or do they have to live with someone the same year?
Yeah, so we don't have to pair transfer students up with another transfer student, but we can. If students request to, we will pair them together. Typically, if a transfer student's coming in the spring semester, we do try to house them with another new incoming student. But if a new transfer is coming in the fall, there is a chance that you could be paired with another new incoming student because you both would be going through a similar experience as you'd be new to the institution. And the other part of that question was, do you have to live with someone of the same age? No, we do try, however, to pair someone up with someone who is around the same age. However, if you know someone, that could be younger or older that you'd like to live with, that is fine. Ultimately, we do want our students living with whoever they'd like to.
Question about stovetop or stove with an oven. It's actually a stove with an oven, but the stovetop is one of those ceramic stovetops, so there's no, and please, if you do anything before you come to Plattsburgh, remember a stovetop still requires you to use a pan. Mm-hmm. We've had a couple students that have just put a chicken breast on top of the stove and started cooking it on the heating element, and that makes an ungodly mess. So it is a full stove with an oven. We did say yes, you can have a mini fridge. What can students have in their rooms? As we said before, the only thing here is no microwave and no appliances that have a heat emitting source can be used in the residence hall rooms. But yeah, students can bring TVs. There's full cable hookups, that kind of thing. But actually, a lot of our students are now streaming that and not using as much cable. There certainly are jobs available for incoming freshmen on campus. All of our on-campus jobs are listed on our career services website so that everyone has a fair opportunity to get those jobs. And we actually do a fairly large job fair the first week of classes so that we can get our jobs filled, because certainly our campus can't operate without the student help and the student workers that we have. Trish, you want to go over freshman halls again?
Yeah, so typically our first year buildings are Whiteface and Wilson, but as we mentioned, Wilson Hall is going down for renovation at the end of this academic year, so Moffett Hall will be opening up. And again, we can only house about half of our incoming freshman class in those two buildings, so the rest of the incoming first-year students do get put throughout the other buildings on campus. So that's why it's good to get your housing application in early, and also make sure that you are selecting your top 5 building choices so that if you are really interested in a first-year building, that you could potentially get in to one of the other buildings should you not be able to get into one of those buildings.
And just a couple notes I'd say about freshman housing. One of the advantages of freshman housing is each floor has a resident assistant and each floor has a community advocate. Those are both students who work for our office, specially trained. The community advocate is really there to be a mentor for the freshmen coming in, helps by doing some programs, a person to turn to in addition to the RA. And sometimes students will ask, well, should I live in a freshman building, should I not? That's really a choice that you have to make. I'll be perfectly honest with you, our freshman residence halls tend to be a little bit more active. And what do I mean by that? Well, imagine you lived in a residence hall with your entire graduating class. That would be more active than living in a building that's half freshmen and half returning students. So if you're looking for that type of experience, great. If it's something like, I'd rather interact more with some of the upper class students, then it's certainly okay to live in the other buildings. And it kind of pairs with another question about, there was a question about what buildings do we think shouldn't be housing for freshmen. McDonough and Harrington, we do not like housing freshmen in those buildings. One of the main reasons is they are at the end of campus, away from the dining facilities, the all-you-can-eat dining facilities that freshmen use. So we try not to separate that. They're a little bit closer to the downtown Plattsburgh area and a little further away from the center of campus.
So there's a few more questions about the meal plans, and as far as are there certain dining areas that you can eat in? With the anytime dining plans, we do have 2 main dining halls, Clinton Dining Hall and Algonquin, which is where you can use those anytime meal swipes. We do have a food court located in our college center. There's also a couple different bagel and sandwich shops on campus as well, where you can use some of those, what we call dining dollars at those locations, and at some points during the day you can actually use one of your meal swipes there. But again, I would recommend looking at the dining page that's off of the Plattsburgh website, which will go into more detail about those plans. And someone else asked about food allergies. We do have a dietitian on campus. His name is Jeff Valley, and he's a great point of contact. Depending on the food allergies, you could reach out to him, and he can certainly help guide you to different venues on campus. We do have a lot of students with various needs on campus, and as long as you are in communication with the staff in the building, in the food facilities, they will be able to help guide you and suggest options for you.
And there was a question about Cardinal Cash as well, which isn't part of the dining plan, but tends to get looped in. Cardinal Cash allows a student to put money essentially on their ID card through cash, through a credit card. Somebody can do it online from home. Hint, hint, mom and dad, if there's any on there. That is like a declining balance debit card almost that is used in all of the dining facilities, in the convenience store on campus, all of the vending machines on campus. You can use it to buy theater tickets. You can buy it, you can use it at many, many off-campus locations. Most of the pizza shops, most of the restaurants in town take Cardinal Cash. I know even some barber shops that take Cardinal Cash. It's a way for vendors off campus to allow students to spend money without having to carry cash around on campus, and it's very, very popular. And any rule of curfew for students, yes, all students are to be in bed by 7. I'm kidding. No, there is no curfew. That's it. We did say yes to refrigerators and Keurigs, no microwaves or heat-emitting things. So if he lives in a renovated building, it costs more. Well, I guess you could say that, but our room rent, the way our budget is structured, our room rent is based upon a certain number, and we are giving a discount for students who live in non-renovated buildings. So technically, yes, but the way we're looking at it is we're actually giving folks who live in a non-renovated building a price break.
Okay, there's another question about the fitness center. Is there a fitness center that doesn't have a membership fee? There's not on campus. However, there are other recreational type activities that you could engage in on campus that do not cost a fee, such as if you do go to Memorial Hall, sometimes they have times where you can use the open gym to, shoot basketballs, things like that. We do have tennis courts outside when the weather is nice outside, and there's also like a beach volleyball outside and soccer fields and things like that that are open for students to use that don't require a fee.
What types of clubs does Plattsburgh have? The Student Association is where our clubs are housed, and probably the best thing to do, again, is to go online and look at their website. But we have between 80 and 100 student organizations and clubs, and they range from interest in athletics to cultural to social to honor societies. And quite honestly, if there's not a club at Plattsburgh for an interest that you have, you can create it. That billiards club that I talked about was created 2 years ago by a group of students that wanted to hang out and do that together, and there wasn't a club, so they created it, and now they have a budget, and they're off and running. What are the differences between renovated and non-renovated buildings? Well, it's really no different than renovating and not having a bathroom in your house that's renovated and one that's not. New finishes, better mechanical systems, any substances that were used to build the residence halls back in the 50s and 60s that are now not supposed to be there, those are removed. New amenities, new finishes, new tile work, new flooring, new paint, new styles. Typically, a renovation of a residence hall on the cheap side will run between $4 and $6 million and can range up to $15 to $17 million for some of our larger buildings. So there's a lot of work that goes on. But the buildings at Plattsburgh, like most of our sister schools and other SUNY campuses, were built around the same time in the late 60s, early 70s, and most of them haven't been updated since that point. So when we talk about renovated, that's what we're talking about, is bringing them up to the standards that we'd like to see them to be at.
Okay, there's a question here. What if you get a roommate that you don't click with? So if you get to campus here, typically we ask students to wait about the first 2 weeks into the semester before making a room change, and that's so we can see where our vacancies are. But yes, we ultimately want students to be living with who they want, you know, where they want, because we want you to be comfortable here. We want you to be able to, you know, be successful and have a great place to sleep and study. So if things aren't going so well with your roommate and you've had that conversation and you just don't think it's going to work out, you can certainly come into the housing office. What we would do is we'll provide you with a list of where we have vacancies, and we'd encourage you to meet some of the other students who may have a vacancy in their room. Or perhaps if you meet someone on campus and you'd like to move with them and we have the space available, we're happy to help you make those arrangements.
I'm going to start throwing some other pictures up while we finish answering some of these questions. Yes, Samantha, there's a ski club. Yes, Alyssa, there's a cheerleading team. What I've just thrown up on the screen, this is a listing of the cable channels that we're providing to every residence hall room. It's included in your room rent. You see it's about 85 stations, all the local channels, and I'm just kind of scrolling back and forth a little bit between them so you get a sense of what we're offering. Does it mean that we can't offer everything that everybody wants? There's only so much money that we can spend on our cable. So Jake, which freshman dorms are suite style? That's Moffitt. That's the only one that is. The number of outlets in a room really varies. When we renovate, we're actually doubling the number of outlets. That's one of the differences in a residence hall room. But I would say typically between 4 and 10 outlets, depending on the room. It's a question about bathrooms. I don't know if I have any pictures of bathrooms.
I don't know if we do.
Tend not. But bathrooms, they vary, and that's one of the things that we're doing in the new renovations as well, is giving a little bit more privacy to the restrooms. But the restrooms, the number of fixtures, you know, sinks, toilets, showers, are all based upon housing standards that are controlled by the state of New York, and we exceed those. For instance, in a whiteface hall, which is a circular corridor-style building, I believe there are 4 or 5 showers per side, and there's 2 bathrooms per floor, so that's 8. And I believe 4 toilets as well, and in each of those restrooms, so there's 8 total on the floor, and then 4 or 5 sinks in each of those bathrooms as well. This picture that you're seeing here, this is just a snapshot of that Cardinal Video Den that I talked about. These are the movies that are on it right now. We start adding them as soon as students move in the fall, and we start adding new movies as students ask for them as we go through. And we end up with 125 by the last month of the semester. Is a first year someone who's taking college classes for the first time, or the first someone who's going to college for the first time? We're looking at our residents in first year housing as people who are coming to college for the first time, or credit hours of 15 to 30. A lot of students will come to Plattsburgh with credits already, but if you've already attended another institution as a matriculated student, then you're a transfer student. Are light therapy lights allowed in the dorms, halogen versus LED? We do not allow halogen lights in the residence halls. That's a fire violation. LEDs are fine. Do the rooms have AC?
No.
No.
We don't.
We are in Plattsburgh, New York. We need AC in our residence halls about 3 weeks a year while students are here. Most of the time we're worried about heating those. Not to sound smarty, but yeah, the residence halls aren't air conditioned. To put air conditioning in, we would have to charge students so much for rent that you wouldn't be able to afford to come here.
Someone asked if the rooms come with TVs. No, our student rooms do not come with TVs. So feel free to bring your own. However, most of our lounge areas within the building do have a TV that you're welcome to use.
What is included in the rooms in terms of technology? Every room has phone outlets. You have to pay for that yourself. If you want to have a wired phone, there's cable outlets. There are internet outlets as well as the Wi-Fi. And that's, I think, covers most of the technology that we have. Again, the residence halls that are suite versus corridor. Corridor are Whiteface, Banks, and Wilson. Those are the high rises. And the suites are DeFriedenberg, Moffett, and Hood.
There's a few questions about the furniture that comes within the room. Every student room comes with a desk, a desk chair, a dresser, or a wardrobe, depending on the style of the building you are in, and like a 3-drawer shelf that can fit, you know, either as like a nightstand or fit under the desk, as well as a bed and a mattress. And of course, like I said, you have either the closet area or a wardrobe where you can hang your things. There was another question about, is the bed raised? The beds do naturally have a little bit of a riser on them, so you can fit some stuff under the bed. However, there are additional risers that you can get and bring with you to make the bed a little bit higher.
The other web page I pulled up here, I talked a little bit about Laundry View, which is our laundry system. This is the website. This is different than what the mobile site would look like, but this is, in essence, this is our site. So all of these, you see me scrolling past these are all of our buildings with all of our laundry facilities. So if you lived in Banks Hall, you can click on Banks Hall, and this is a live view of Banks Hall right now. All of these washers are available for your use. This one is in use and has 7 minutes remaining. You can see it's kind of shaking. And these are the dryers. You can see what's in use. So you can, from anywhere, look and see what's available for me to use, so you don't have to go up and down in the elevator to see what's available for you. So it's kind of a cool feature. And like I said, and that's for all of our, these are all of our laundry rooms within the residence halls, and you can access that online or through your mobile device. Basketball courts. You can use our basketball court in Memorial Hall where our basketball team plays. By the way, they're rated number 23 in the country, just a FYI. And also there's some outdoor courts right behind Mason Hall, kind of between Mason and Kent. So that's, if you're interested in that, that's a good place to be close to because of that. Where's the roommate survey? That's part of the housing application, Tricia, yes. I believe?
Yep,
yeah.
That's all part of the housing application. So when you're filling out the housing application, there's going to be a few questions on there, such as, like, are you somebody that tends to keep your space clean? Are you someone who tends to be a little messy, or somewhere in between? Are you someone who gets up early in the morning or goes to bed late at night? Are you a smoker? Are you a non-smoker? Those kinds of questions are things that will be asked on the survey.
We talked a little bit about this already. Freshmen can choose to live in any residence hall they want besides McDonough and Harrington. The first-year housing options, if you want to be in the first-year residence halls, are Whiteface and Moffett. Saying here that they couldn't access. It looks at Fay and West. I checked the website for the application for housing, and the spring 16 was up, not the fall. I paid my deposit last month. What I'd ask you to do, Fay, actually, is to probably email Tricia, and she'll look into it.
Yeah, feel free to contact me. Send me an email. Again, we can pull up our emails, and I'd be happy to take a look and make sure that you know, everything's working for you.
Yeah, that's her email. Okay. I pulled it back up. And yeah, that way we can get right to the bottom of it in case it's something that didn't click on your record where it should have. Can freshmen bring cars? Absolutely. There is no fee for paying gas. Actually, they're electric, but no, you use the kitchenettes whenever you want to. There isn't a shuttle to the Amtrak station, is not. A cab ride from the Amtrak station to campus is about $5. Roommate problems, are they common? I don't know the term common, but you're living with somebody you've never lived with. They're living with someone they've never lived with. We work pretty hard at the start of the semester to work out kind of agreements on what roommates will and won't tolerate, and the RAs work with those folks to try and patch through rough spots, and roommate pairings can go through that. If it's an impasse, then yes, we can find ways to reassign people, but we at least want people to try and work through it. That's part of the living learning process, is learning how to resolve those kind of issues, and we'll help and support you through that. That's one of the things that the RAs and the CAs are doing. Athletic fields, can they use them? I don't know about the turf, the ice in the ice arena. There are open skating periods when you can use that. The same with the gym and Memorial Hall where the basketball team plays. There are certain times when that's open, and that changes day to day based upon the practice schedule and those kind of things.
Yeah. And there was a question earlier that asked about items that you could bring to to campus or not bring. If you actually go to our housing website, there's actually a list posted on there of suggested items to bring with you when you come to college.
Is there enough storage under the beds? High enough?
Yeah, yep. As I mentioned before, there is enough space where you could, put some storage under the bed. If needed, you could buy some little risers to be able to lift the beds up a little higher. And if needed, you could contact our building staff to see if they have any of the bed frames to make the bed a little bit higher for you.
Troy, we've got a question about the percentage of Asian students at SUNY Plattsburgh. Do you have a sense of that? He's looking. You said typically one mini fridge. Does that mean there's only one allowed always? The answer to that is there's one fridge allowed per room.
Yeah, typically that's the case, unless for some reason someone needed an extra fridge to accommodate medication for some kind of medical need, in which case we would just want you to help communicate that through our office and through the Student Health Center on campus, and we'd be willing to work with you on that.
There's a question about scholarship and how that's applied to the deposit.
So yes, there's a question here about receiving a scholarship and paying your deposit. I actually don't know the answer to this one right off the top of my head, but if you want to reach out to us at Housing, we can help. If we can't direct you there, we will definitely direct you to another office on campus to help answer that question for you.
You are correct. You cannot stay in Wilson Hall next year.
Yeah, I don't think you'd want to. It's going to be pretty dusty in there, but it's going to be great when it is reopened.
There will not be another introduction to Housing Res Life when you come back in the fall. You'll be living it, and we'll do that live with you in the residence halls with the RAs, the hall directors. And yes, there are wired Ethernet connections in the residence halls. You don't have to worry about a wireless signal if you use that. So.
Yeah, okay, so there's a question here about applying to housing now and meeting roommates and things like that. Go ahead, fill out your housing application. You're actually going to be able to continue to access this application and this system until about mid-July. At the end of the orientation program is when we start to process the housing assignments. So feel free to keep going on there. If you come to campus, you decide there's different buildings you choose to live in, you can definitely change those preferences. And then if you meet someone, when you do come for orientation, you could add that roommate request on there. So go ahead and do that, but yes, you can continue to access the application, no worries.
Yeah, and we're going to go about 5 more minutes, folks, and we're going to answer as many questions as we can in that time frame. A question about athletics, and there's one about intramurals at the same time. I'll try and answer that. Memorial Hall that is where our intramural coordinator is. That is the person that you'll interact with about when there's free time to play basketball and those kind of things. And yes, there are a ton of intramural sports here at the college that students can get involved in. And we already talked about the gym. The fitness center is the gym. They have a satellite office in Hood Hall, but the main one is in the basement of Memorial Hall. We do have a full-service counseling center on campus that students can use, as well as our student health center is staffed by 2 physicians, and if they're unable to connect or to solve your problem, they will refer you to the appropriate people. But it's actually a fairly robust center. They don't have a dentist there, so that's something you'd have to pursue, locally here yourself. Will I run out of money or food? As a freshman, no, you will not. Now, I can't say you won't run out of money, but the freshman meal plans, you're paying all you can eat all semester long as often as you want. So you'll never have to worry that you run out of food. Like my brother did his freshman year. He had a declining balance card, and he called my parents in October and had run out of money. And so that's one of the reasons why our freshmen have that plan, is to make sure you have a good understanding of your eating habits and what they'll be.
There's a great question on here, are the beds long enough for taller students? So we do use extra long twin mattresses. However, if you're someone who is tall and you're interested in seeing what the size of the beds are, I would recommend that you contact our office. We do have some beds on campus, a very small number that are available for students who may be a little bit taller, and if so, we'd be happy to help with that. So just give us a call or send us an email. We're happy to advise you with that.
Question about broadcasting. Plattsburgh has majors in television broadcasting as well as radio. In order to be part of the television station, you do have to take classes in that major. The radio station is actually a student association club, so any student can be part of that. And yes, it is broadcast here on campus. High rise versus low rise. Low rises, we consider anything less than 3 floors. High rises, more than 3 floors.
Yes, if you bring your own TV to your room, you will have access to cable and HBO to go and all the fun stuff that come with it. So don't worry if you bring your own TV, you will have access to all those great features.
What is the housing website? There it is, plattsburgh.edu/studentlife/housing. This is the actual live website right now that you're looking at. And let's see, we do not have printers in our residence halls. Some of them have them in the office. We actually have an immense printing area in the basement of our library, and students have so many prints that they can use there. And you'll also be very surprised, many of our faculty members, myself included, I don't want you to print your papers off. I want you to email them to me so that we don't have to waste paper. I'd rather read them online. It's just as easy for me. So a lot of our faculty are going to that as well. Plattsburgh nightlife. I said the curfew was at 7, Mike. No, Plattsburgh has, it's a small city. We're about 15 to 18,000 people. So it's not New York City. It's not even Albany. There are things to do. There are off-campus events going on, and we plan an awful lot of stuff here on campus for our students to do. Weeknights, weekends. It's a very active campus because there isn't nightlife off campus like you'd expect in a city. On-campus nightlife, what is the scene? It varies. Every weekend there's an event in the College Center for both Friday and Saturday night, and those go until 12, 1 o'clock. What I consider nightlife compared to what you consider nightlife might be different things. This weekend, we'll be hosting 2 tournament games for basketball on Friday night. We have a tournament championship or semifinal game for men's ice hockey on Saturday night on campus. There is a Diversity Week banquet in our ballrooms on Saturday night as well. That ballroom will seat hundreds of people. Clubs and organizations will have all sorts of different activities going on in the College Center, and the residence halls will have programming going on as well. So there's stuff going on campus all the time, and it varies weekend to weekend. Sometimes we have coffee house and open mic nights and those kind of things as well in the College Center for our students to take advantage of. And those move around throughout the semester. So at this point, I think we're going to wrap things up. Tricia, anything you want to add?
No, I mean, just if people have additional questions, please don't hesitate to contact us. You can either send us an email or call us. If there's something you're thinking about that maybe we didn't chat about today, don't hesitate to, like I said, to reach out to us.
Yeah, and again, here are our emails. This is Tricia's. This is mine. Those are directly our emails. This email will go right to the housing office, and Tricia and our secretary will see that. Here's our office number. Here is our website. And as you see here, March 24th at 6 p.m., Tricia will be back here, probably with Nikki, our secretary, to kind of go through that housing application in a little bit more detail. And I echo Tricia. We appreciate you being with us tonight. And if there's anything that you folks need answers to that we didn't supply you with tonight or we didn't get to your question, don't hesitate to contact us. Even if we don't know the answer, we'll make sure that we find it for you so that you can make a good choice for yourself.